I'm what you would call a pantster. You fly by the seat of your pants. I sit down here and I go, okay, story one. and then it comes out like that. I worked at Milner Library for just over 30 years. I ended up as the Stacks maintenance manager, and I did that for probably the majority of my time there. At that time, there were 1.6 million books in Milner, and I was in charge of getting at least most of those back to where they belong. It's a great coincidence that working at Milner and me being an author kind of gelled. It didn't necessarily, one didn't necessarily affect the other, it just kind of happened that way. I always wanted to be a writer, but my mom passed away in 2009, and that really set me thinking of, if you want to do something, to do it. So I started, and the very first book I wrote was a book of short stories, because my mom and I, we enjoyed watching One Step Beyond and Twilight Zone and all those type of things. And I dedicated that first book to her. I do NaNoWriMo every 2 years. That's National Novel Writing Month. That takes place in November. It's free. Anybody can do it. You take 30 days to write 50,000 words. So I was able to get 50,000 words in the month November. That gives me a first draft of everything. And I wrote literally just like little snippets of paper. I usually have these all over the place. And then I sit down, no music, no talking to other people, no texting or phones. Just quiet. I'm usually looking out this window or at a cat, and I'm just thinking, where do I go from here? I would say my books really fall under the umbrella of suspense and thriller, kind of horror adjacent. I like following characters in weird, surreal situations. Years ago, I was fortunate enough to go to Germany for an 8-day vacation, and I've never seen a train station so big. It was overwhelming to me. It was just, oh my gosh. So I wanted that to be part of a story. Track 9, my second book, it's about a haunted train station in Germany, and there's people from Bloomington trapped in the station. After the first draft is done, the end of November, I set it aside for a few months. I do up to 9 drafts. Usually around draft 6 or 7, I'll send it to my beta readers. They'll give me ideas like, this made no sense, or I didn't follow this. These are pages of mistakes and issues. When you think it's totally finished, there's over 120 things that I catch even after 9 drafts. Things that are like, oh, I used too many ellipses, or there's not a quotation, or anything like that. I try to make the best product I can, and it takes 2 years to do that for me. Even though I'm retired now, I can't sit here for 8 hours a day and do it. 2 hours is my limit. If it's too much like work, I'm not going to do it. It's not something that you do to get rich. It really isn't. I'm sure I'm not making money. I don't think I'm even breaking even. According to the last few years of taxes, they're like, no, no. But to get the books out there, that's the big thing. I want to entertain people. I don't want any one particular hobby or interest to just be so consuming. It's just a part. It's a part of who I am.